Hello. Today, as part of our Israel series, we have Miri Eckstein here with us today. But before we go into the interview, I'd like to remind you to go to socialblueprint.org.au to see our social calendar, events. Please share us, the video, and share us on social media. Welcome to the Social Blueprint, Miri.
Thank you.
Lovely to have you here.
Lovely to be here.
Thank you. Please tell us, you organised 16 women to go to Israel recently.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you do that?
So, post October 7th, I just had this incredible urge to go to Israel. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. I didn't know what I could do, what I could bring to the country. I felt like I needed to be there. We're in Australia, we're so far from everyone. And I just had this urge to go and this need, this strong desire to go. And I spoke to a friend of mine and we said, let's do it. Let's organise a group of women to go. We thought maybe we would get 3 or 4 people to come with us. And we ended up with a group of 16 and a growing waiting list. So I'm quite humbled by that.
It's wonderful. So in planning the trip, how did you go about planning it?
So we weren't sure where to start. We looked at some other itineraries of other companies and nothing seemed to really tickle our fancy. We wanted to really customize the itinerary. We wanted to do what we wanted to do. We were a group of women, mothers. There were a couple of grandmothers in there as well. Someone had sent us a screenshot of another mission that was going, an organisation called Planet Israel. So we contacted them to see if they could customise an itinerary for us. And we worked together with them only for about 2 weeks. So we thought, let's see if we can pull this off over 6 weeks. And we managed to do it.
The age range of the women that travelled with you?
The majority were between 30 and 45, and we had a few that were between 60 and 70.
Wonderful. And how long were you away from Australia for, or on the ground in Israel?
Yeah, our mission was 7 to 8 days. Most of us were there for about 10 days.
Were you affiliated with any organisation?
We were completely unaffiliated. We're all from the Melbourne Jewish community. We all knew each other. We were connected somehow to each other. And we were completely unaffiliated, which I think did work in our favour. We didn't feel that we owed it to a particular organisation, but we were there just to represent the women of the Melbourne Jewish community.
And what was your goal? Like, what were you telling the women that was attracting them to want to come?
So our goal was to go to Israel to see firsthand everything that was going on and to see what we could do, what we could bring back home, how we could inspire other people once we were back here. We also wanted to be a leading example to our family as well, which for me personally is really important. I wanted my family to be proud of me. I wanted my children to be proud of me. And yeah.
That is beautiful. Okay, so you arrive in Israel. What happens?
So we all arrived sort of within 24 hours of each other, and we arrived, we hit the ground running straight away. One of the participants runs a Mummy and Me class, and she'd organised to go down to the Carmel Day Spa, which was housing displaced families at the time, and she put on a Mummy and Me music class there, while half of our group did arts and crafts with the 3 to 5 year olds. She did the music for the 1 to 3 year olds. And the other half of us worked together with an organisation called Pantry Packers, and they have a chesed component of their organisation, and they work together with mothers and daughters, with orphans, and they'd handpicked 7 or 8 mothers and daughters that needed that extra bit of TLC, And we went and met with them in Mamilla Mall. We took them out for lunch. We heard their stories. We shared. And then we took them on a shopping spree. We were like partnered up with them. And we just said, let's go shopping. Let's put a smile on your face. Let's buy you whatever you want. And these girls were like, there's not even a word to describe how happy they were. They were overjoyed. They're like, you mean I can just go into Zara and buy whatever I want? Yes. What else do you need? Do you need boots? Do you need a jacket? They're like, they're trying to tell us in like their broken English, this is what I dream about, you know. So, and they kept thanking us. We're like, no, don't thank us. We're thanking you. It's our honor and our privilege to be able to do this for you. We, thank God, live here where life is so much easier, where our kids say, I want to go to Chatston, I want to go shopping, I need this and I need that. And thank God our children do have what they need and they take it for granted. So I think a lot of what we were doing was just to be so grateful for what we have back at home and to share our
our fortune.
Yeah, to share our luck and our good fortune, and just to also show our family back home to be so grateful for what they have. Like I said before, we wanted to be there to be a good example for our family, for our kids, and we're taking other people's kids on a shopping spree.
How old were these girls?
They were all bat mitzvah age, so they had just done a communal bat mitzvah. There were 40 girls and their mothers who had done a bat mitzvah, so these were 7 or 8 girls were handpicked.
Were they handpicked because they were in need? Like, yes. Are they girls that actually were, they needed additional support?
Yeah, they were handpicked by social worker there that needed that extra bit of like TLC.
Yes.
So I was paired up with a set of twins, and we took them shopping, and it was really sweet because I've got twin nieces, and the girl that I was with also has twin nieces, so we were paired up with a set of twins. It just worked out, and it was really special. We took them shopping for a couple of hours, then we met for an ice cream at the end. And also it's the connections that we've made with these people, the mothers and daughters. We've got their numbers now, they've got ours. They want us when we come back to Israel to visit them. So we've really made like lifelong friends.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You found some special connections on your journey. Can you tell us about those, please?
Sure. So on the first day when we met with these mothers and daughters, one mother got up to share her story. She was from a community down south, and as they do in Israel, she picked up a soldier on the side of the road that needed a lift back down south. Now, he was from Kibbutz Be'eri, and he wasn't there on October 7th. And he wanted to go back and see firsthand what had happened to his family home and wanted to collect some belongings. So he shared with this lady that he had lost his brother and his mother that day, and he was pouring his heart out to her. And by the end of it, she said, what can I do for you? You've shared your story with me. You've lost your brother. You've lost your mother. Tell me something I can do. And this boy turned to her and just said, I just need a hug. So she turned and she hugged him. And for this lady to share that story with us really was our first sort of interaction. It was our first sort of, and then 2 days later, we were visiting Kibbutz Be'eri, and we went into a couple of the homes there. Now, one of them we're standing in, and we're hearing what actually happened in that home, what happened in the safe room. And outside of the houses, they've got banners that have the names and the photos of people that were killed in those homes. And as he's telling the story, and as we're looking at the names, one of my friends turned to me and go, we think we're in the home of this soldier that was given a lift by the mother that we met a couple of days ago. We put 2 and 2 together. We realized we were standing in his house. So we were just completely blown away by that. This was the story of the Baha family, and the father and the daughter survived, and they were in the safe room from 7 a.m. till about 10 p.m. until the IDF came to save them, and he watched his son and he watched his wife die. And a few days later, we were in Tel Aviv in Tel HaShomer Hospital, and we're meeting with someone else outside the hospital. We had recognised from someone else's social media account. He's sharing with us his stories as what happened throughout Israel. And we see this guy get out of a taxi in a wheelchair, and he'd had one leg amputated. And we had a look at him. We put, again, 2 and 2 together, and we're like, this is the father of that boy. This is the father of the house we were in. So we started swarming towards him. He was so happy to see a group of women from Australia. And we said to him, we were standing in your house. We were, and we could not believe that we'd heard a story about this mother giving a soldier a lift. 2 days later, we're standing in their house, and a further 2 days later, we're meeting the father who's coming back to Tel Hashomer Hospital, where he'd been for rehab for quite some time. And one of the tour guides we had the day we were going down south said to us these words, that God plans your itinerary. And we didn't see it come together more than we did this time, where it was one thing followed by another thing and followed by another thing. So we just found that story of connection absolutely remarkable.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, what other activities did you do with the women whilst you're in Israel?
Yes, so that was the first day before our official itinerary had even started. We did what we call the typical things there in Israel, a lot of like the touring, going down south, seeing the atrocities, seeing it firsthand. When we went down south, that was quite a difficult day, but we had our beautiful group of women. We were all there for each other. We held ourselves together really well because we laughed, we sang, we joked, we danced, we went out for dinner. We made sure whatever we did, we were always there for each other. We all stayed in the same hotel together. Some of us shared rooms. So there wasn't even time for us to be by ourselves, to stop to think, going down south was a very hard day. Even the first stop we made in Sderot, we pulled over, we got out of the bus, and we're standing in front of a patch of grass. A typical road with a patch of grass. We didn't know why we were standing there. And it was only later, as we were chatting with this ZAKA volunteer, did we realise that this was the street where the terrorists came down first thing in the morning at 7 a.m. and just started shooting people. So the patch of grass we were standing in front of, the ZAKA representative is telling us that there were just dead bodies all over that patch of grass. That's why we were standing there and next to a bomb shelter that had malfunctioned that morning, that just didn't open. So putting all of that stuff into perspective, that was the start of the day, and then the day just continued to get harder and harder and harder. Going to like the car park, going to the Nova site, seeing the massive field there, and just seeing it rather than seeing it on a screen on your social media. It's a massive field. They had nowhere to run, nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. But then hearing the stories of people that were saved, the stories of hope, the heroism. We met a guy called Rami Davidan that saved over 700 people that day without a gun, that took people in his own car.
700?
He saved 700 people that day.
How?
People got his number and he was showing us. He just kept getting text message after text message. My child has tried to contact me. They're hiding here. They're hiding there. Please go help them. He spent the entire day saving people. He's just recently been recognised in Israel as a national hero. And just hearing this humble man speak to us and tell us his story, he had no gun with him the entire time. And people were just asking him, please go save my child, save my niece, save my nephew, my grandchild. And just the stories of like heroes there were incredible. Hearing stories from soldiers, from regular civilians that just went out and they said, we have to do something. Mm-hmm. We met with a guy called Rabbi Benny Kalmanson, who actually had 2 sons that passed away on October 7th, and we shouldn't use the word passed away, they were killed.
Murdered.
They were murdered. And his message was that, we're so concerned about the youth of today, that they're on TikTok and social media, but it's these youth that are fighting for us. They're either being called up or they're going voluntary back to Israel, back to the army, back to fight. They're the ones who are doing this on our behalf. You know, and you think about us in Australia so far away, they're fighting on our behalf for Israel, what we call home, and they're doing this for us. And they are incredible, incredible people. Look at like the soldiers we went to visit in Tel Hashomer. Now, if I lived in Israel, I would go there every day just to visit them. I would spend hours there every day. The stories they have to share, the amount of hope they have, the love they have. They're just so grateful for what they have, and some of them have unfortunately lost limbs, and all they want to do is get back to fighting for their country. And when we shared with them, you know, they're like, you're left your husbands and your families at home and you've come to Israel just to see us? Wow. They were just so taken back, you know. They were crying, we were crying, one of my friends was crying. We realized it was someone's birthday. We start singing to them. We're handing out little koalas to them. We're giving them out chocolates. They're just sharing their stories with us, and they just were smiling just to know that we were there to visit them.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Just to backtrack for a moment, you mentioned the word ZAKA, and you mentioned that the bomb shelter malfunction. Can you please explain that to us?
So ZAKA is an organisation run by volunteers that when there is unfortunately a bomb or a trauma or a mass casualty, they're the volunteers that go out to help to get the bodies out, to, you know, they're not the ones who are saving the lives, they're the ones who are dealing with the mass casualty.
Thank you.
So this was a volunteer that we met who was there on the day, who has still been working ever since then. They're the ones who will also go to like the sites, go to the cars, try to, you know, get any sort of body parts out. They are incredible, incredible people. What they see is someone that no one should have to see. And the guy explained to us that when a siren goes off, these bomb shelters with the automatic doors are meant to automatically open. And this one at the entrance to Sderot malfunctioned that day where it did not open.
Oh.
So these people could have been saved if it hadn't malfunctioned, and that was that patch of grass and that bomb shelter we're standing next to, and now they've created outside of it a little memorial.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. Could you also tell us, please, any more highlights? And I don't mean highlights in positive, I mean things that will always stay with you and the other women that you think are really poignant for us to learn.
So as I said, going to visit the soldiers, the injured soldiers at Tel Hashomer Hospital in Tel Aviv was definitely a highlight. As I said, I could go there every day just to visit people, just to bring them love. And I said, you're looking at people that had lost limbs and body parts, and they're just like, come to Israel, make aliyah, come and be with us, you know, and they're just happy and they're joyful, and we found that really, really inspirational, and it gave us all a sense of just be so grateful for what you have. So that was definitely a highlight, and the shopping spree with these mothers and daughters as well. And we also co-sponsored a concert for the elite unit of the army in Jerusalem with Ishai Ribo, which was incredible. It was just us as Australian civilians and this elite group of soldiers, and we're watching them sing and put their arms around each other and just be unified and happy. They just wanted to dance and be happy. And as the evening progressed, they kept leaving the hall, and we're wondering why. And it was not till after we found out that they had to leave, they had been called to go back to base. But just to be able to be with them, like, we're just regular people from Australia, so that was a huge honour to be able to do that. And we also put on a barbecue at one of the Air Force bases there. We weren't allowed to take any photos or any videos there. We put on this barbecue where we cooked for them, we served for them, and then we were dancing with them as well.
Oh.
There were some who had just come out of Gaza, and we're watching them come in. They weren't even allowed to get their phones back or contact their family, and they're with us. They're dancing with us. We're handing out cards. We got some of the kids in like the Jewish schools to give out cards. So everywhere we went, we made the bus stop, we hand them out cards, we hand them out koalas. It made us feel so happy. Like there's this sense of when you think you're giving something to someone else, you're giving to them, but it's what it actually does for you. Mm-hmm. You know, that sense of knowing you can give to someone else.
Mentioned that all of the women that went on this mission
mm-hmm.
got together again and 2 weeks after. What was that debriefing like?
So we never really had a chance to debrief properly. Or someone had said, you know, did we want someone to come and talk to us and to debrief about what we had seen and to make sure we were all okay. But because we were such a close-knit group and we had each other, we would chat over dinner at night, we would talk. So we decided to do a recap for our very close family and friends. We had that in a private home about 2 weeks afterwards, where we did a slideshow, we shared some stories, we shared highlights. We wanted to give our family and friends that sense of hope and positivity, and also tell people that it's okay to go to Israel and not go on a mission. It's okay just to go and to tour, to travel, to support the economy. And I said, go buy a cup of coffee, go book a dinner in a restaurant, give someone a koala, anything that you can do. And them knowing that you've come all the way from Australia, it just makes them so happy. You don't have to go and see the sights. Just to be there and know you're coming from so far away makes them so happy.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
So what takeaway would you like to impart on everyone watching today?
So I think my main takeaway is just to give people that sense of hope, and whatever we do as the Jewish people, we do it together, we do it ba'achdut, we do it unified, and we're all in this together. We even look at the Melbourne Jewish community, how since October 7th, everyone has come together in the most beautiful, beautiful ways that makes me really proud to be part of the Melbourne Jewish community. We're a community like no other, and we've also learned from what they're doing in Israel that they're soldiering on, they're getting on with life, they're sharing stories, they're being full of hope and positivity, they're doing good deeds in the merit of the soldiers, in the merit of the hostages, in the merit of the Jewish people, that this should all be over soon. And that's really what we want to impart on people here, as well as, if you can, go to Israel, go and support them, go and just, be there.
Miri, I'd like to thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with Social Blueprint. And we are going to place at the bottom of this video links to charities that Miri and the ladies used. And thank you for giving such a feminine touch to a visit to Israel. And there was something you wanted to share in addition.
So I just wanted to say as well, like in the lead up to Pesach, bizchut nashim tzidkaniyot, like in the merit of righteous women, we were redeemed from Egypt. So go us. And I wanted to wish everyone a kosher and happy Pesach, and may we all be redeemed in the merit of women.